under-10 sack race 1968 first runner-up. We all receive our fair share of accolades and awards in our lives, but it is a rare few who are honoured with the title Royal Institute of British Architects House of the Year. So who will it be in 2019?
We're on the home straight, visiting the last group of outstanding buildings on the long list that are straining every sinew to take home the big prize.
I think this is magnificent. It's a magical thing.
6 homes have made it to the shortlist so far.
Brilliant. Oh, well done. Oh, great.
Today we're looking at the last 5 from the long list grouped together under the theme of materials and craftsmanship.
Oh, that's a glorious thing, like a sculpture.
Later in the show, we'll find out which of them will bag the remaining place on the shortlist.
From up here, the vault is really something special, isn't it?
Then at the end of the programme, we'll find out which house has scooped the great title.
So join us as we size up the last few remaining contenders for the RIBA House of the Year 2019. On your marks, get set, go!
So far, the homes that have made the House of the Year shortlist have ranged from the magnificent and the monumental to the delightfully compact. There are 2 experimental houses. Nithurst Farm, a playful exploration of history.
Oh, hello.
And the meticulously crafted pocket house. Then a pair of homes that melt into their surroundings. The nature lover's restorative rural retreat, and the shadowy black house. And then 2 down-to-earth projects. Secular retreat, powerful and geological, and House Lessons, a modern farmhouse.
In this programme, we'll be looking at a group of homes that explore materials and craftsmanship. Some are exotic and finely dressed, like Italian princesses. Others are more direct, local characters whose materials speak authentically of the place they're from. But whether it's copper, concrete, stone or timber, there's nothing that's not beautifully honed or buffed in this well-crafted bunch.
Our first buffed house is found in the metropolis, the posh bit.
In this very upmarket London neighbourhood, there is down the street a very new upmarket house, rich in invention and materials. This very fine Greek revival house is not it.
Nope. To find it, I've got to lead you up the garden path.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that doesn't disappoint. That's a glorious thing, like a sculpture.
This is House in a Garden. Its funnel-like roof rising between the buildings that surround it on all sides. This overlooked little spot used to have a 60s bungalow on it. When it came onto the market, it caught the eye of the architect Jenny Botsford, who handily lives upstairs.
After 15 years, we found it came up for sale and thought we should really do something with it.
To deal with this tricky location, I think Jenny took inspiration from an iceberg. The funnel is just the tip of a 3-storey, mainly subterranean home. The lowest level is 8 metres below ground, with a swimming pool, yoga room and a living space. 1 floor up and still underground is the master bedroom, guest room and bathrooms, and 2 deep and very necessary light wells. On the ground floor are the lids of the 2 light wells and the kitchen and living space. It's all topped off with that funnel roof reaching out of the shadows like a flower. Its offset shape was computer-modelled to follow the path of the sun, bring in light, and afford privacy from the houses that overlook it. This is an exquisitely crafted building. The RIBA judges admired the quality and refinement of materials and deftness of detail.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to meet you.
And you, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah,
Nice
great.
of you to come.
Beautiful copper on the roof.
Well, it's such a difficult shape to make. We needed a material that's malleable, that you can do that with, and it just bends as it needs to.
The copper-covered roof may be redolent of 1960s churches. Inside, however, it's all cathedral fan vaulting.
And whoa, that is remarkable. This is an absolute marvel.
That view of the sky is amazing, isn't it, to have that?
Completely.
You just kind of get mesmerised with it.
Yeah. What's to make me do is lie down and just look at the sky.
I think
I'm going
you
to do
should.
that. Yeah, I'm
You
going to.
should.
You know, I like lying underneath domes.
Yeah.
And this is like, it's, oh heavens, it's even, it's better. It's as satisfying as lying underneath the dome of the Pantheon.
That's a good one.
You like that? I bet you would.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you would.
The project was financed by a property investment company who bought into Jani's high-spec range of pleasingly tactile materials. A bespoke copper kitchen, crying out for some fingerprints, behind which sits a flight of stairs lined with huge fluted tiles made of Carrara, the Italian marble from which Michelangelo carved David.
Did you go to the quarry and choose it?
We did, yeah.
It's quite an extravagant thing to do, isn't it?
I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, if you think about this in 50 years' time, it will be exactly like this, I think. Generally, the materials here we've thought of in those terms. It's kind of not now, but over time, what will they be?
Yeah. You made a really good case for it. It's very compelling.
That's the
If
idea.
you're going to do it properly.
Yeah.
The first floor below ground level contains the guest and master bedrooms, where the exquisite selection of materials continues.
A lot of beauty here. This is an entirely timber-lined room
Yeah.
with an enormous metal box in it. They're like walk-in industrial fridges, these, because of the stainless material, but actually they're so, mirrored behind. Exquisite stuff. Not out of a catalogue. Could never be.
Of course, the ensuite is also marble-lined, fit for a visiting Roman demigod, and with a view into the light well that runs down through the house.
Now this is the hanging garden from upstairs, which now makes its way down here, and below as well.
The huge, deep hole needed to make this house was made possible thanks to the basement contractor Phil Mundy. But depth wasn't his biggest problem. It was access to the site.
Walking down here brings back a lot of bad memories of having to logistically get everything in and out of this project. So everything had to fit in this 1.1 metre wide area, so less than 5 foot. And so what we actually created was a triple-storey scaffold.
Conveyor belts removed 200 lorry loads of earth from this site. They had to use mini excavators that could squeeze into the gap, or pile drivers that had to be disassembled and brought in pieces. Everything moved at a snail's pace.
We could have finished this basement in 2 months, but in fact, because of all the constraints that were put upon us, it took 14 months for us to construct this basement.
But on reaching the lowest level, with a living room and leisure facilities, I can't help but think Phil's extra year in this hole was well worth it.
Another extraordinary, large, beautiful room with a pool.
Yes, well,
Yeah, as you would.
you need a pool.
So how light is it? I mean, look, it's 5:10.
Yeah.
It's gone a little bit cloudy.
Well, if I turn the light out,
Yeah. But it's beautiful.
and it's a very different experience again
Yeah,
in the
it's
house.
very different. This is magnetically kind of blue, this, isn't it?
And then you swim towards that light. Quite a few aspects in this house where you're taken away from things you're used to and experience something new. And
Yeah.
that's one, being in a marble-lined pool with this kind of very
Yeah.
concentrated light.
It's not every day, is it? You do that? No. So you might be thinking to yourself, I will never, ever be able to live in a place as beautiful as this. Well, neither will I. But that doesn't matter, because throughout history, people have put up buildings to be, well, to be inspirational, to be exemplars, to show us the way forward, and just occasionally, people have put up buildings as idealized as this, to simply take our breath away.
Coming up, the final 4 contenders for the RIBA House of the Year 2019.
Oh, my goodness, that is magnificent. I mean, you have a complete ribbon of window wrapping around your entire house.
Of the 3 little piggies, I always felt sorry for the one who was building his house out of sticks. He was most unfairly derided against for his choice of materials. Timber has often been the first and the best choice of material in buildings ever since we left the caves. Of course, not all wooden houses are created equally. Ooh.
For the next long-listed house, the design expert and writer Michelle O'Gunderhin is among some slightly bigger sticks, the oaks of Chevethorne Barton in Devon. There are 440 species of oak here, so it's probably the largest oak arboretum in the world. It was started by Michael Heathcote Amory, and when his daughter Jessica came to build a house here, it could only be made of one thing: wood. This jolly wooden wedge, lined with a timber interior with an eye level set at tree height, is Greenhouse, now home to Jessica, her husband Jason, and their 2 children, Jonah and Isadora. It's even built on the site of an old wooden prefab.
Just before my father died, he gave us the house and the surrounding fields.
At the beginning stages of the design process, Jess's father was involved.
It's very sad he didn't get to see the end product.
Hello.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. So there it is. As you approach, it's beautifully concealed by all these gorgeous trees.
That's one of the things the architect wanted to do most, was to create something that fits the landscape. And it looks like you're quite high up and it feels quite sort of treehouse-like.
Unlike a treehouse, Greenhouse has been built on 30 concrete piles to stop it sliding down the slope. On the lower ground floor, built into the hill, are 2 bedrooms and a family room. Then on the upper ground floor, there's a TV room at the back of the house, then the entrance hall, leading to an open-plan living dining area. On the upper floor are 2 more bedrooms with bathrooms and a double-height space looking down onto the dining area. And the whole thing has been coated in larch that's slowly turning silver, apart from where it's been protected from the Devon weather.
You can see that feels a bit like a sauna in here.
It does, doesn't it?
But there are no sweaty men in small towels. This is a light and elegant space, the main middle floor of the house, a wedge of a room that opens out into an amazing 270-degree window.
Oh, my goodness, that is magnificent. I mean, you have a complete ribbon of window wrapping around your entire house. You now really get that sense of being up in the treetops, don't you?
That giddy sense of height is mirrored above your head, where the ceiling part gives way to a void that extends right up to the apex of the building. The staircase leads to the delightful balcony and library above.
We felt it needed to be opened up a bit, and as it happens, it works really well. It means that these rooms up here are interconnected, and you get a real sense of who's in the house, and you feel quite together as a result.
The glazed middle floor cuts across the building like the filling in a house sandwich, but these aren't the only views to be found. On the upper floors, the bedrooms enjoy corner views for the children, or for the adults to enjoy a soak while losing themselves in the leaves. On the lower level, the playroom and spare bedrooms have slot windows with ground-level views. And if you're not worried about a vista, then head to the narrowest point of the building and its cosy den. The RIBA jury said that Greenhouse abounds with character and personality. The personality behind it is the architect David Shepherd, who was longlisted for his own house, Cobb Corner, in 2017. He's a man with a singular vision and a deep love of all things timber.
Wood is the best sustainable material that you can have on a building. So we minimise the steel, minimise the concrete, maximise in wood.
The interior has oak flooring, birch plywood shelving, beech stairs, and Douglas fir door frames. The outside is clad in larch, which David wanted cut into narrow strips for variation. For the carpenters, David Skelly and Daniel Acton, he was as demanding as a cabinet maker, specifying 5 angled cuts on every length of timber.
So if that's the bottom piece, you have a compound mitre on the bottom with a 45, so that's 2 cuts on that one. A 3rd cut there, and a little expansion joint in there. But yeah, there was a lot of cutting involved and a lot of fixing involved.
And there's, I think we worked out 8 miles of timber on the building here.
Pretty much inside and out, I think.
That added up to 3 months just spent cutting and fixing the cladding.
I don't think the clients actually realised how long it would take. And in fact, myself, I didn't realise how long it would take. But in actual fact, I think the end result speaks for itself.
Among all the beautiful detailing and the variety of timbers, David did manage to find a place for some particularly special wood in the dining table and staircase.
About 5 years ago, we had a big storm down here and 2 big beech trees fell down at my parents' house just down the road. And my father said, take it away and dry it, and you might be able to use it in your house.
The wood was stored for 3 years with a local carpenter and sawmill owner, Warren Hughes, who noticed it had begun to spalt, developing a delicate pattern caused by a fungal infection.
On the end of the timber, we can see that the fungus is growing on there to the black on the outside where obviously the mould is more prolific.
Mouldy stairs don't sound appealing, but once it dries out, the fungal infection dies, leaving a delightful pattern of tracery markings in the wood.
When the oil goes on it and it starts to sink into the timber and enhances all of those marks, it's not uniform, it's not perfect, it doesn't conform to things, but I think this is real beauty.
The resulting stairs and table rightly form the centerpieces to this home and are a link to Jess's father.
He was very pleased that we wanted to live here and have a house here because it was so important to him.
And it's a shame he didn't get to see the finished article, but I think he would have liked it.
This grown-up treehouse not only honours Jess's father's legacy, but also celebrates their mutual love of wood. And with the exacting guidance of their architect, they've created a home that's completely at one with nature.
There's something reassuringly old about stone, isn't there? The most primal, the most primordial of building materials. I fancifully imagine that some antecedent of mine was skinning a mammoth with these very flints thousands of years ago. Stone lends a house a certain permanence. It means that if you build with stone, you better get it right, because it could be around for a very long time.
I'm in Monmouthshire in South Wales, where the local sandstone has weathered many a Welsh winter, and I'm here to see a new house built from this old stone. That's nice. This is Silver How, L-shaped and in 2 parts, the larger, newer stone section and a smaller, converted brick barn. It's home to Emma and David and their daughters Grace and Charlotte. On the inside, they needed a modern family house, but externally it had to feel more like a traditional Monmouthshire building.
We wanted to create a property that felt as if it belonged within this environment.
I'm not averse to more sort of cubist type architecture, but it's not California. It needs to sit in the plot.
Oh, hi.
Hi there.
You Emma?
Yes, I am. Nice to meet you.
Oh, yeah,
Hi.
and you. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Pleased to meet you.
And you, and you. Congratulations. What an amazing, solid house, you know? So tell me a little bit about this place, because this is how old?
I think 1905 it was built. It's the old coach house to next door, so...
It's hard to tell which is the younger, which is the older building. Because that's got a tile roof and it's painted brick. This is got a metal roof and it's made from local stone.
Even though they're, vastly different materials, and it really, looks right.
The RIBA judges liked the way Silverhow marries the lightness and transparency of modern construction with the permanence and craftsmanship of Monmouthshire quarried stone. And inside, the jury praised the open and flexible spaces and acute attention to detail. The new part of the building is arranged over 3 levels. The ground floor has a double-height main living space, next to a secluded snug and office. The first floor has 3 ensuite bedrooms for the family, and the top floor has 2 guest bedrooms and bathrooms. A glass corridor connects to the old coach house, which has a double-height kitchen with a mezzanine playroom. The interior of this older section has all the verve of a modern kitchen garden restaurant.
Oh, this is lovely and refreshing and light and spacious.
They removed a floor to make this big vaulted space, fitted out with a gargantuan wall of oak cupboards that in fact hides a utility room behind and a mezzanine playroom for the girls up top.
We can hear them and they can hear us,
Yeah.
but their toys are tucked away out of sight.
Yes, although I wish they would bring their rubbish down and put it in the bin rather than just...
Launching it only.
Oh, just scamper upstairs just to throw things at you.
Yeah.
So can I get up?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
staircase.
pretty beautiful. Lovely staircase in oak for them. Nice space. Great. Yeah, no, actually, from up here, the vault is really something special, isn't it? I can see how tempting it is for them.
Through in the new part of the building, the rustic stone exterior actually hides a steel frame that does all the hard structural work, allowing for an expansive living room and decadent amounts of glass.
We can experience the magic of the outside in and the inside out. This one too?
And that one goes right back, and so does that
Oh, so
one
does
there,
that?
yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, so in fact, the entire wall disappears.
The living room connects upwards as well as out. The chimney piece reaches up and past a first-floor walkway that leads to their daughters' bedrooms, which in turn are linked by a shared bathroom and dressing room.
This is you in here, yeah?
This is us.
Mirrors.
Yes.
And the view that way. That's, oh my word. What an amazing little optical illusion that is.
Yeah.
Astonishingly nice. I don't think I'd be able to sleep in here.
The oak trees which frame these views and surround the entire house are all subject to root protection orders, which restricted work near them and dictated the way that the architect, Martin Hall, and designer Kelly Bednarczyk arranged the building.
We pretty much had to thread the plan through a series of root protection areas, and so by creating these no-build zones on the site plan, it sort of actually encouraged us to adopt the floor plan that we did.
It took me a while to convince the contractor to take the project on because he just saw headaches and complexity with it.
To avoid damaging the roots, a system of protective matting was laid over the heavy traffic areas of the site and then topped with aggregate to spread the weight of the diggers and cranes, resulting in a 100% tree survival rate. And a house nestled among the oaks as if it's always been there.
Seems to me that if you want to build something which truly reflects the history of a place, you've got to study in detail the shapes, the angles, the materials of ancient buildings in that place. You've got to understand the qualities of the rock and how stones layer. You've got to even dig the ground and see its colour in order to be able to build something as connected to place and as successful as this.
We're nearing the end of the series, with only 2 of the 20 long-listed houses left to see.
Wow, this is engineering to the max.
But which will make the shortlist, and then maybe even go on to win the RIBA House of the Year for 2019?
The ancient Japanese art of origami involves folding paper hundreds of times to create something of exquisite beauty. It takes really special skills to elevate something simple and ordinary into something remarkable. There. It's a glacier.
This is Warwickshire, an ordinary street with ordinary houses. But Damien Burrows is here to see a house that's taken everyday materials and done something extraordinary with them. This is Ghost House, finely crafted from concrete and steel. It got its name because it seems to be peeking out at its neighbours, as if ready to say, boo. It's home to a nightclub and bar entrepreneur who is a big fan of concrete, Steve Smith.
Steve.
Hi.
How you doing? You all right?
Great, Damien.
Yeah, good to meet you. Incredible house. It's completely opposite to the rest of the street.
Absolutely. It was always meant to be a very simple palette. Concrete, black steel. That's it.
And Steve's pared-back concrete vision has produced a highly crafted and unnervingly well-ordered house, reflected in the pools of water dyed to make a black mirror image.
The reflecting ponds were a later addition. It was supposed to initially be a wild meadow, but actually it would, by its very nature, be wild and unruly and out of my control.
I know what you mean. Nature doing its own thing, that annoys me as well.
Steve's need to control his environment is evident in the perfectly symmetrical layout. The RIBA jury admired the meticulously straight board markings laid out in the concrete. The main floor of Ghost House is actually 3 metres below ground level. At the back is a courtyard garden, then a large open-plan living area, and above is the master bedroom with a bathroom and dressing room. At the front of the house, there's a sunken entrance courtyard accessed by stairs, surrounded by 2 smaller subterranean bedrooms and a home cinema, all under the black pools. As you sink below the black waterline to the front door, it turns out this house is made of almost honey-coloured concrete.
This is so warm, it's so inviting.
It was a local mix, it was a local sand that was used, so there's almost the warmth of a Cotswold stone within the pour. So it isn't grey or steer concrete. Okay.
In case you were expecting scatter cushions and doilies through the front door, it's wall-to-wall concrete and symmetry throughout.
There's a passion for concrete. I love the material and it works. There isn't overkill and it's staying true to the vision and to the belief that we could create something purely out of concrete that doesn't feel austere, that doesn't feel totally brutal, that still feels like a home.
Of course, a real home should feel tailored to its owner's passions. So head around the central courtyard and you find Steve's given himself a home cinema. And then there's the spare bedrooms where he's dedicated 2 dressing rooms to his collection of rare training shoes.
This was my indulgence. I've collected sneakers for many, many years, and this is an opportunity to be able to show them all off.
Yeah? What do your friends think?
My friends love it. I can't say the same about my parents. My mother walked out when she saw this and asked when I was going to grow up.
But who cares what people think when it's your own home? You can display the artwork that makes you happy, and even build yourself a set of mirrored stairs up to your bedroom.
This has been designed so that, if wanted, it could be split into 2 spaces. So a wall down the middle, all the services are in. Again, everything symmetrical around that centre point.
To create this ode to symmetry written in concrete, Steve enlisted the architect Philip Shepherd.
Where did all of this start when you got involved?
It's actually as I graduated out of university, first real project was to
meet with Steve, and he came with the ambition of, I want to build a really cool contemporary concrete house, which was very much a challenge for someone newly qualified.
To work with Philip, a specialist concrete contractor, John Thompson, was brought in. Their joint, meticulous work has produced a beautiful finish. All the channels and conduits for wires and fittings were cast into the concrete. Although there was a slight hiccup when one of the formwork moulds gave way mid-pour.
We had one shutter pop, and unfortunately it was when Steve was showing his dad round, and he was walking down the steps and there was a bang. Oh dear, dear.
As we're standing chatting, the shutter blew. And there was a river of concrete right across the site. I blame my dad.
You jinxed it.
Absolutely. At the very top where we repoured it, you can see a day joint, but I didn't want to hide it, I didn't want to finesse it. It tells a story of the build.
Ghost House not only tells the story of its own construction, but that of its owner. It is a container for Steve's tastes and passions. Not all houses can do that.
Concrete is an uncompromising material, but Steve is an even more uncompromising and driven client. His commitment to his dream, coupled with his team's ability to shape and mould his ideas, have created a beautifully crafted and truly personal home.
There is one final house to see before we find out which of today's 5 will make the shortlist. Then we'll at last find out who has won the RIBA House of the Year for 2019.
The crafts are often unfairly compared to the arts, the making of the functional item on one hand as opposed to the truly sublime on the other. But while the crafted item may not have the lofty ambitions or the high ideals of a piece of art, it can nevertheless be as beautiful and as noble. Plus, crafted objects have the benefit of being useful as well.
The influence of the Victorian arts and crafts movement can be seen here in this part of suburban North London, in the cottagey dormers and chunky chimneys here. But Damien's come to see a house steeped in 21st century craftsmanship. Kenwood Lee House. Up front, the building echoes the proportions of its polite double-fronted neighbours, but round the back, things really start to swing, with an immaculately finished glass box containing courtyards, open stairs and sunken levels. The RIBA judges admired the skill and enthusiasm with which exotic and expensive materials have been deployed throughout. The house was realised by Jomek, a builder, for him and his wife, Ivona. They both arrived in the UK from Poland in the mid-90s.
I got a job as a decorator, painter decorator. So I learned pretty much every trade. I was on tools for just over 10 years.
I've done some decoration as well that I
on
the weekend, you know, like wallpaper, stuff like that, helping you.
From humble beginnings to master craftsman, Jomek now employs 100 people, and his firm worked on House in a Garden that we saw earlier, as well as 2017's nominated Highgate House. But he's finally managed to make time to build a house of his own.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Hello, hi.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Wow, stunning house.
Thank you very much.
But the thing that stands out from the street is the choice of materials.
We went through so many materials and we're really proud of what we put together. Yeah.
And that care can be seen in the frameless glass dormers, the perfectly finished concrete, the junctions of materials, and the tiniest of brass door details. Kenwood Lee House has a basement level that contains a sunken carport, gym, games room, guest rooms and cinema. It connects to the ground floor through a Lightwell courtyard, up to a living and drawing room at the front of the house and an open-plan kitchen and dining area at the back. The first floor has 4 bedrooms and the top floor their master bedroom suite. Jomek and Ivona put everything on the line by remortgaging the business premises to finance the project, but the results have been worth it.
Wow.
I mean, walking inside here, it's just fantastic. The level of execution, the level of detail, the level of thought is mind-blowing.
Of course, there's lots of details and lots of long days and nights, designing, changing.
The interior is a joyous celebration of perfectly selected and finished materials, exemplified by the massive board-marked concrete-lined hall, designed by Jomek and Devon with the architects Ben and Yelena Cousins.
It's at the structural core of the house, and it enables the whole house to be formed around it.
With a house this size, a concrete middle could be dark. The way around it? Just get rid of some floor.
The two sides of the house are connected by bridges with a staircase which is kind of floating.
But floating staircases are not the only engineering marvels here. Down in the basement, a ton of glass literally has been used to make the mother of all patio doors.
Down here?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's the one.
And then?
You want to, yeah, lift it up, lift it up.
Wow, this is engineering to the max. How easy is that? It just glides, and the top pane goes as well.
The technological basement also houses the gym, spa, cinema room, and a sunken carport that's straight out of a Bond villain's lair. Why, Mr. Burrows, I've been expecting you. Mind you, when you're exhausted after a long day building award-winning houses, you do need somewhere to escape to.
Wow. And we're upstairs to the master suite. I mean, I can see why you put your main bedroom up here. You've got all the views and all the light out to the back.
That's right. It's a pleasure to wake up in the morning and open the curtains.
All this work that you've put into it, have you ever been tempted to sell?
Yes, we have.
That's right. We have two agents call and asking us to sell it. And I have to say, it was quite tempting.
Offering ridiculous money.
Yeah.
But we didn't accept it, we didn't take it. Oh, shit.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I am, yeah, good.
That's just the thought of selling this house.
It's very important to us.
It is. Hey.
We put lots of effort into it and laugh, yeah. That's why. I guess we're never going to sell it.
What shines through in this house is Jomek and Devon's unrelenting passion to build a home that never compromises on quality.
There's real pride in the craftsmanship here. And the results, well, they speak for themselves.
So there we have it, the last 5 long-listed and lovingly crafted houses that are vying for a place on this year's shortlist. Will it be the sunken temple to craftsmanship, house in a garden? Or greenhouse, built as beautifully as a piece of furniture among the oaks? Silver How, a meticulous marriage of the ancient and modern? Or Ghost House, a modernist love letter to concrete and symmetry? Or could it be Kenwood Lee, a passionate labour of love and a hymn to quality?
It's very powerful.
John Pardey, chair of the RIBA's judging panel, can reveal all.
What have you shortlisted, John?
We've shortlisted one project, which is the greenhouse in Devon. So it's a lovely setting, trees, pastures, water. And there's this thing, and it's got a window at the front, so you know it's a house, it's got a door at the side. But apart from that, you think, what?
Why shortlist this project?
It's original. It's all quite quirky, but actually it works with the site.
Yeah.
It creates exciting spaces.
It's a very evolved, exquisite woodland shed, then.
It's an incredibly beautiful woodland shed, yeah.
Amazing.
That is very good news, David. Well done. You're going to cry.
I feel slightly embarrassed. I mean, it's all been a bit of a roller coaster, the whole thing, hasn't it?
Yes. To have a house that we love as much as this, it's great.
So there you have it. The shortlist is now complete. But which of these will be crowned House of the Year 2019? Nithurst Farm, weaving historical ideas into modern family life. Pocket House, squeezing light and joy-filled spaces into a teeny urban site. Restorative Rural Retreat, a tranquil balm for humans and nature alike on the Isle of Man. Black House, a Scottish shoreline sanctuary that treads lightly on the place. Secular Retreat, an almost geological building perched atop a hill. House Lessons, a subtle but delightful series of quiet sheds in rural Northern Ireland. Or Greenhouse, a lovingly crafted timber wedge nestled into a wooded hill. All exemplary, all in with a chance to win. And that winner is, well, I'll give you a clue. It's not in a city.
Well, in this year's series, there have been a lot of farms, a lot of barns, a lot of buildings masquerading as farms and barns. And one of them is a winner.
So which of our rural wonders is this year's top dog? It's House Lessons in County Down, a seemingly humble arrangement of two simple joined buildings, but joined and detailed beautifully and with great care. It's an example of how someone really clever can take humdrum everyday materials and transform them into something glorious, all for the price of an average detached house. And the clever clogs behind it is the architect Kevin McCloud.
Really? Unbelievable. Can't believe it. Really. I'm thrilled for everybody concerned and delighted to win it.
I've come to meet Kieran, as well as the owners Sylvia and Michael, who commissioned him to design House Lessons.
Kieran.
Yeah. How are you, Kieran?
Kevin, how are you?
Very well, you?
And my husband, Michael.
Michael, yeah. Congratulations on winning, guys.
Humbling experience. It's been really unexpected, but we're really thrilled.
Well, I suppose when we saw his work online, we just really liked it. So we never explored another architect. We never went beyond Kieran.
And Kieran more than proved his worth, creating a house that is a lesson in pragmatic elegance. It's composed of two simple single-storey blocks, one with the living room and kitchen, with a mezzanine office above, and one with a single corridor with 3 bedrooms off it, connecting to a shared courtyard. All this for a budget of £350,000.
It's a relatively modest budget that you spent.
It depends on your frame of reference. Yeah, it was certainly not every penny we have is in it. But so if that's modest.
It is when the house looks like it costs twice that. Kieran's genius lay in his orchestration of inexpensive materials like plain engineering bricks and concrete. His masterstroke was to focus on a single important junction, one horizontal line where walls meet the ceilings.
Everything hits that same horizontal. The white space above is almost completely uninterrupted.
Yes, and it brings a domestic scale to the otherwise tall spaces.
It's a simple yet mesmerising device that yields ethereal white vaulted spaces in every room, while at ground level all feels human and practical.
What I find really disciplined here is that you could have taken those cupboards back there. You could have sailed right to the ridge.
In the future, the client could increase the stories, but for now, it's as much as they can afford.
So it's not self-restraint that's forced you to limit the stories to this?
It's budget, pure budget.
Sylvia and Michael did splash out on the floor, though. It's a beautiful terrazzo, concrete embedded with crushed marble.
Our client was very keen on the durability of the terrazzo, and they asked us could we ensure that the terrazzo withstood tortoise urine.
Tortoise?
Yeah, they had a tortoise, and that was one of the big concerns about the floor, that it could withstand the corrosive properties of tortoise urine.
Whether it would stain and actually eat into the marble?
Yeah.
Wow.
House Lessons is disarmingly modest, carefully organised, and enchanting. It bewitched the RIBA judges.
This was up against some really heavy hitters. Is that an easy winner to choose in the end?
No. No, as you say, we're up against, it's David and Goliath at one level. There's some big hitters in there. This one, through its modesty and its just sheer strength and its thought and its sophisticated elegance, got there. I mean, I hope buildings like this give a message. You can do something this good at that cost. That's wow.
You know, somebody once told me that a great idea need cost no more money than a really bad one. This place, of course, is testament to that, proof that for the money with which you could buy an ordinary 3-bedroom bland box of a home, you could instead build something outstanding like this, an award-winning home. All you need to do is to follow the example of Michael and Sylvia. Find yourself a great architect like Kieran and go on this great big architectural adventure. Become patrons, commission something special and make your mark in the landscape.